Knowledge grows? JustProfessor here. Stop buying things you never use. Stop making promises you can't keep. Stop planning things that never happen. There's one hidden reason you keep doing all of this, and once you understand it, everything about your bad decisions will suddenly make sense. Right now, in this exact moment, you feel a certain way. Maybe you're motivated, maybe you're tired, maybe you're hungry. And here's the problem. Your brain assumes you're going to feel exactly like this forever. So, when you make decisions about your future, you're basically letting the current version of you decide for a future version of you that's going to be completely different. This is called projection bias, and it's costing you money, time, and probably a lot of regret. Let me break down exactly what this is and show you how it's controlling almost every choice you make. Have you ever bought a gym membership in January feeling super motivated, convinced that you'll go 5 times a week, only to stop going by February? Or have you ever gone grocery shopping while hungry and bought way too much food that you eventually throw away? Maybe you've signed up for a course or program when you were feeling energetic, thinking you'd have hours to dedicate to it, but then life got busy and you never touched it. Here's what all of these situations have in common. You made a decision based on how you felt in that moment, and you assumed your future self would feel the same way. But your future self didn't feel the same way. And now you're stuck with consequences of a decision that doesn't fit who you actually are. This is projection bias in action. It's when you project your current preferences, feelings, and mental state onto your future self. You think future you will want the same things, feel the same way, and have the same energy levels as current you. But that's almost never true. The reason this is such a big problem is because we make decisions constantly. What to buy, what to commit to, what to plan, who to trust, how to spend our time. And if every single one of these decisions is based on a false assumption about our future selves, then we're basically setting ourselves up to fail over and over again. We create a life full of things we thought we'd want, but don't, commitments we thought we'd keep but can't, and plans we thought we'd follow through on but won't. Let's dig deeper into how this actually works in your brain. When you try to imagine your future self, your brain doesn't create a completely new person. Instead, it takes the current you and just moves it forward in time. It's like your brain is taking a photo of you right now and saying, "Yep, that's what you'll be like in 3 months." But humans don't work like that. Our moods change, our energy changes, our interests change, our circumstances change. Think about the last time you stayed up late binge-watching a show. At midnight, you probably told yourself, "I'll just watch one more episode, I'll be fine tomorrow." But then tomorrow came, and you were exhausted and angry at yourself. Why did past you make that choice? Because past you was wide awake and engaged in the show. Past you couldn't accurately imagine how tired future you would feel. That's projection bias. Now, let's talk about shopping, because this is where projection bias destroys people's wallets. Imagine you're at a store and you see an expensive blender that makes smoothies. You're feeling healthy that day. Maybe you just worked out, or you're thinking about eating better. So you buy the blender thinking, "I'm definitely going to use this every morning." Fast forward 2 weeks, and the blender is sitting in your cabinet collecting dust. Why? Because the version of you that bought the blender was in a health-focused state of mind. But most versions of you, most days, are not in that state of mind. Most days, you're rushing, you're tired. You want coffee, not a smoothie, and making a smoothie sounds like too much work. The companies that sell these products know this. They specifically market to you when you're in an aspirational state. They show you ads of people living their best lives, working out, eating healthy, being productive. They're trying to catch you in a moment when you're feeling motivated so you'll project that motivation onto your future self and buy their product. And it works, over and over again. This also shows up in relationships and social situations in a really interesting way. Let's say someone asks you to help them move next month. Right now, next month feels far away. You're feeling generous and helpful today, so you say yes. But when next month actually arrives, you don't want to help them move. You're tired, you have other things to do, and you regret saying yes. You projected your current generous mood onto your future self without considering that future you might be stressed, busy, or just not in the mood to lift heavy furniture. Here's where it gets even more complicated. Projection bias does not just affect how we see our future selves. It also affects how we see other people. This is the social part of this bias. When you're cold, you think everyone else must be cold too. When you're hungry, you assume others are probably hungry. When you're in a bad mood, you're more likely to think other people are being rude or mean, even when they're acting normally. This creates all kinds of problems in relationships. If you're feeling anxious about something, you might assume your partner is also anxious, so you treat them like they need reassurance when really they're fine. Or, if you're feeling confident and energetic, you might push someone to do something they're not ready for because you can't imagine why they wouldn't feel the same way you do. Let me give you a specific example. Imagine you just finished a big project at work and you're feeling accomplished and motivated. Your coworker mentions they're struggling with their own project. Because you're in a high-energy state, you might give them advice like, just power through it. You can finish it in one session if you really focus. But your coworker isn't in the same mental state as you. They're overwhelmed and tired. Your advice, which comes from projecting your current state onto them, isn't helpful at all. It might even make them feel worse because now they feel like they should be able to just power through it, but they can't. Projection bias also explains why we're so bad at saving money. When you have money right now, it's hard to imagine really needing it in the future. Your current self feels financially secure, so you project that feeling forward. You think, future me will figure it out, or I'll probably have more money by then anyway. But then, the future arrives. You need that money, and it's not there because past you couldn't accurately imagine what future you would need. The same thing happens with time. When you're planning your week on Sunday, you look at your calendar and think, I can definitely fit in all these tasks, plus go to the gym, plus cook healthy meals, plus work on my side project. Why do you think this? Because Sunday, you is relaxed and optimistic. Sunday, you is projecting that relaxed, optimistic feeling onto every single day of the week. But Tuesday, you is stressed and tired. Thursday, you has unexpected problems to deal with. Friday, you just wants to rest. None of those versions of you are the same as Sunday you, so the plan that Sunday you made doesn't work. Here's something that makes projection bias even worse. We don't learn from it very well. You'd think after buying multiple unused gym memberships or making too many commitments you can't keep, you'd start to recognize the pattern, but most people don't. Why? Because each time it happens, you're in a different moment with a different feeling, and your brain convinces you that this time is different. This time you really will use the gym membership. This time you really will have the energy to help your friend. Your brain keeps falling for the same trick because it can only see the present moment clearly. There's also something called hot and cold states that makes projection bias stronger. When you're in a hot state, meaning you're emotional, excited, angry, or experiencing strong feelings. You really can't imagine being in a cold state where you're calm and rational, and vice versa. When you're calm, you can't imagine being emotional. This is why people make terrible decisions when they're angry or upset. In that hot state, they can't imagine calming down, so they send the mean text or quit the job or end the relationship. Then later, in a cold state, they regret it. The food industry uses this against you all the time. When you're full, you can't imagine being hungry, so you don't buy snacks. But when you're hungry, you can't imagine being full, so you buy way too much food. Restaurants know this, which is why they bring out appetizers quickly. They want to catch you while you're in a hungry, hot state where you'll order more than you need. Here's the big insight that changes everything. Your current feelings are temporary, but your decisions are permanent. Read that again. Your current feelings are temporary, but your decisions are permanent. Or at least, your decisions have lasting consequences that your current feelings don't. When you understand this, you realize that almost every bad decision you've made comes from forgetting this simple truth. You felt motivated for 30 minutes, so you signed up for a year-long commitment. You felt generous for 5 minutes, so you said yes to something that will take hours. You felt confident for a day, so you made a financial decision that affects you for months. The most successful people understand that their current state is not their only state. They build in buffers and protections against their own projection bias. They don't make big decisions when they're in extreme emotional states. They don't commit to things just because they feel like it in the moment. They ask themselves, will I still want this when I'm tired? When I'm stressed? When I'm busy? So how do you actually fight against projection bias? Here are some practical strategies that work. First, use the 72-hour rule for any major purchase or commitment. If you want to buy something expensive or commit to something time-consuming, wait 72 hours. If you still want it after 3 days, in multiple different mood states, then maybe it's actually a good decision. Second, track your patterns. Keep a simple note on your phone about times when you committed to something and then regretted it. What state were you in when you made the commitment? Were you hungry, tired, overly optimistic? Once you see your patterns, you can catch yourself before you do it again. Third, imagine your future self specifically. Don't just think, will I want to go to the gym? Instead, think, will I want to go to the gym on a cold, rainy Tuesday morning when I didn't sleep well and I have a lot of work to do? The more specific you are about the circumstances, the less you'll fall victim to projection bias. Fourth, for social situations, remember that other people are not in the same state as you. Just because you're excited doesn't mean they are. Just because you're ready to take action doesn't mean they are. Give people space to be in their own state instead of assuming they feel like you do. Projection. Bias is one of those things that once you see it, you'll notice it everywhere. You'll catch yourself projecting your current state onto your future self, and you'll be able to stop and think, wait, will I really feel this way tomorrow? And that pause, that moment of questioning, is what separates good decisions from bad ones. Subscribe if you want to understand more ways your brain is working against you.